Something else that's new, just as of today actually, is Rising Thunder. There's an alpha out for it that was just put out today.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week as part of the EVO recap. Basically, we saw a trailer for it at EVO. It turns out that it's a game Seth Killian is working on with Radiant Entertainment, which is the studio that Tom and Tony Cannon, the founders of EVO and SRK, basically.
Yep.
That's the company that's making their game Stonehearth, and so I guess they're tackling a fighting game now, and that's Rising Thunder, and they have a technical alpha out that started today.
Yeah, so it's a game of robots, right? Everybody's a robot, which is already a plus in my book, as you know.
Yes.
I did get a chance to play it for a little while. I was given a beta, an alpha key, which is cool, and I was really hoping that I would get one so that I could talk about it in time for the show tonight. So I spent about an hour screwing around with it a little bit.
Right.
And it definitely is interesting. It has some notable differences from other fighting games. Just at the very start, in large regard, I feel like it's very heavily influenced by Street Fighter 4. It really feels like SF, like a funky take on SF4.
Huh, interesting.
Just sort of in the way that characters move, and in the fact that overheads are not super important, and
right.
The health bars and stun bars are basically
it
SF4.
feels more like a Street Fighter game as opposed to like an Arc Sys game or a Mortal Kombat game or something. It definitely feels more Street Fighter-y.
Agreed.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Right.
But probably the biggest points of departure are that there are only 3 normal buttons, and there are only 3 special moves per character.
Right.
And you just press the button and the special move comes out. There's no directional motion involved.
Right.
It's just a button.
It feels. I mean, it sounds like to me like it's like Smash Brothers extended. So instead of one attack, one special, there's 3 attacks and 3 special buttons.
Except it's even easier because there's no up or down version. There's no left or right version. It's just the button. Some special moves can be modified by holding the directional stick.
Okay, yeah,
Or, you can
throw something down or throw something up.
Yeah, exactly. Or the fireball Dragon Punch Shoto character. If you hold back, her fireball's a little bit slower. If you hold forward, her fireball's a little bit faster. Sort of that sort of stuff. And whenever you use a special move, it goes on cooldown for a period of time.
So this is every special move?
Every special move has a cooldown.
Okay.
Some are short. That fireball I talked about, only 1 second. And I noticed you can already buffer it in at about 0.2 or 0.3 seconds left. It'll come out.
Okay.
Whereas others are 5 seconds. So a command grab character, if he whiffs a command grab, he has to wait 5 seconds.
Oh, dang.
To try it again. It's a big bet for him.
Interesting.
And you can only see your own cooldowns.
Right.
Whenever you do it, the little cooldown numbers run down in the little block that is associated with your special moves, set of special moves at the bottom there. And you can't see your opponents.
Okay.
So you just sort of have to know what their cooldown is and expect it and look out for it in a way that you do if you're playing something like Dota or League of Legends, where if you're playing against some other character and you see them use some option, you know that they can't then use that option again for whatever period of time.
Or like another great example is if someone's using the Dynamo Roller and they splash the ink at you and they miss, you can charge at them because they can't splash the ink again.
Exactly
fast, right?
Yeah. Maybe they'll try to roll at you, but you can jump. It's no big deal.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good example. That's very different. Just those 2 sort of big differences, I feel like produce a pretty different game, because when I was looking into how to do some combos, right, with one of the characters, grappler character, he has an anti-air grab that launches, right, like a lot of grapplers do. And so I thought, well, okay, I'm going to try this and then juggle it into anti-air grab again. And we'll see what happens. But you can't do that because it's still on cooldown.
Right.
Until after that situation is over. So it does produce some different takes in how combos go. So say that you just used it, right? Say you took a bet, right? Anti-air command grab. So you expect the opponent's going to jump. They didn't jump. But then instead you find a combo. You can't combo into anti-air grab.
Right.
Right. So you have to think about things a little bit differently than most fighting games.
And I mean, it's kind of like
interesting take on it.
Because, like, for example, in MKX, when I was using Ferritor, I would do combos by starting by throwing Farah, and then I'd have to do a combo long enough to give her time to climb back up.
It's very much
so it's
like
kind of similar situation then. I mean, that's kind of interesting then, because then what that actually allows you to do is make really, really powerful special moves.
Yes, right.
And just make it so that, because, I mean, even if you make it so that you don't even have to exaggerate like a 5-second or a 10-second cooldown. If you even give something a 3-second cooldown, that prevents you from spamming it already.
Yeah.
And so you can make like some really ridiculous like lunge move that like gets in but then is safe on block. But then you've used it, and like let's say it's also a great combo move. So if you use it and you get in, then you lose some stuff. That's actually a really interesting. There's a lot of interesting
for example,
things.
for example, the Fireball Dragon Punch character, right? Her Dragon Punch is a cooldown of like 5 seconds.
Right.
So if you convince her to like throw it out or something. It's not going to be one of these. Oh, Ken does jab dragon punch. You get it.
Right.
No, she has to hold that. Or if you convince her to try it on an anti-air, or say something like this happens, she bets that you're going to do some button, and so tries to dragon punch you on the ground. That she then cannot anti-air if you jump, or if she wakes up, then she can't anti-air afterward. Or if she just anti-aired, but you, for whatever reason, escaped it and knocked her down, now she doesn't have reversal dragon punch.
Right.
So I think that's a really cool take on it, I have to say.
The crazy thing about it is, though, it's going to be all by feel. Because you can't see the opponent's cooldown. So you're just going to be like, I think she still can't uppercut, and then you might be wrong. That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, so that's sort of...
Now my brain is just like...
No, I know. That's one of the other differences in this game, is that it's definitely built for online play. I don't know how this is going to work in in-person tournaments, but you can't see the opponent's meter. You can't see their sort of kinetic... I don't know what you call the bottom meter. There's these two chunks that you can use in different ways.
Okay.
And you don't know how much of whatever they have.
Right.
If you see them use it, then you're like, oh, well, you can't use that for a while, right? But you don't know in the first place. So that lack of info is going to make you maybe pay attention to how they seem to be meter building, or just it'll be a wild card in a way that is not usually a wild card.
Yeah.
Fighting games typically give all the info.
Yeah.
Right? All the info is there.
And that's the interesting thing, because that's actually one of the things that I love about fighting games.
Yeah.
Is that you do have all the info, right? And I appreciate that. That's one of my favorite things about the fighting games. But this is kind of interesting because you don't have all the info, but you still have all the relative, you still have all the pertinent info, right? Because the biggest problem with a lot of these other games, like first-person shooters, if it's a 4v4 and you're watching one screen, you literally have no information about like anyone else except for maybe an overhead map. You know what I mean? But this one, you still know where both characters are for the most part. You know what their energy meters are and everything.
I should say this: you know what their life bar is.
Right. The life bar.
You don't always know where they are. One of the characters has a special move that creates this big bubble. And if the character is standing in that bubble, you can't see what he's doing. You don't know where he is or what he's setting up for. The cooldown on that is gigantic. It's like 15 seconds.
Okay.
Like you can't. It's only an occasional thing. But because it's built for online play, you can make these situations where you don't know what the opponent's going to do. It's very different.
Here's an interesting thing, right?
Interesting. Fog of War.
What they're doing here with this cooldown thing, I am scared a little bit because there's always this concept of balancing a game by numbers that I'm always concerned about. The number one example of this is vanilla Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and actually Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. They were like, you know what? Hulk would be too good if he sped up. So when he X Factors, he just gets no speed. Oh, Strider's too good if his X Factor does as much damage as everyone else's. He's going to do 35%. And so the balance kind of comes down to just numbers. You know, like, this character sucks. I mean, okay, ST Cammy, great example, right? She's a terrible character. So the way that they made her good is that she kills you in 6 hits. she just does way too much damage. You know what I mean? And it's always kind of an interesting situation with that.
I don't really have any problem with that sort of.
Oh, I don't have a problem with it. It's just that it's risky and it's touchier when it comes to balancing. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, I'll give this 15-second cooldown, and then it becomes useless. And you're like, oh, let me reduce it to 10. Now it's too good. Now I gotta, you know what I mean? It's gonna be an interesting kind of adjustment thing to find that sweet spot. Obviously, League of Legends does it, right? Every time you use powers, I'm sure they're balancing that all the time. Not saying it's a terrible way to balance a game, but it's a way to balance a game that fighting games haven't had to deal with a lot of before.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like EX moves all just took one bar.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? Like uppercut was just uppercut. You can do it as many times as you want.
Yeah.
So there's just some interesting concepts. From my game designer, I'm just talking out loud about from the game designer standpoint. So yeah. So, like I said, not a bad thing at all. It's just very interesting to have to think about how it's going to turn out. So
okay, the characters are interesting. They have some cool options. One sort of negative thing that I will say so far is that I do feel like I'm a little limited in some ways. Maybe I'm used to having minimum 4 buttons in a fighting game as far as normal attacks go, and then having any number of special moves between. If I want to play Guile, I guess I have 2, but like everybody else has however many. Right. 5 or more.
Right.
But in this one, characters have 3. And they have 3 normal buttons. And there are some sort of differences to that. You can get different loadouts where you can switch in a special move or another for the characters. Okay. But you still can only have 3 at once. Right.
So it's kind of like customs in Smash Bros.
It is a little bit like customs in Smash. Exactly.
Interesting.
So I don't know if that'll feel in the end like I have enough options. As I was messing around with the game a little bit more, and the grappler character and then this other pressure character, I don't even know how to describe him, it seemed like I had some cool tricks that I could do. Okay. And it seemed like I had buttons to like basically like play footsies and whatever. But yeah, I am a little bit worried that I'll feel like I don't have a complex mid-range game because I have like 2 or 3 things that I can do at any one time. Right. I don't know. That's a potential worry for me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, what you're describing right now is basically my problem that I had with Persona.
Yeah, okay.
Because Persona was like a lot like that. Because I never felt like the Persona buttons were normal moves. They felt like they were assist buttons or something like that, because they felt a little different, but then there was really only A and B. So you had A, B, and 2 Persona buttons. And so you had to treat the Persona buttons differently because if you call them out at stupid times and they get hit, you lose your Persona, right? So I always felt limited in that game. Like I just didn't feel like I had enough normal buttons. So that's definitely an interesting call on that. Yeah, I mean, I'll try to download the alpha as soon as I can and try it out. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But as far as the characters themselves, they seem pretty varied. They're only 6.
Yeah, right I mean, a lot of people are saying that Persona moves were normal buttons.
No, I know,
Yeah, but, I mean, they did lots of weird different things, like you could control them and make them appear over there, do all sorts of crazy things. They were like half normals, half specials.
And like definitely at least some normals, if I recall correctly, you could aim and stuff, right?
Right. And yeah, and that's absolutely true. It's because I didn't play a lot of Persona, so I never got used to it.
Yeah, but if I recall correctly, that's part of why you didn't play that much Persona.
Yeah, it is.
That might be something that I'd be concerned about for Rising Thunder too. Right.
But
I know that they want to keep it simple, as far as It seems like they want you to pay attention to different options, or pay attention to options in a different way, rather than having to manage. Say like a game like Third Strike, any given footsies match is there's like 4 or 5 buttons going on, on different character sides. And so that becomes complex to manage, and you have to dance around parry, right? You have to mix it up, high, low, whatever. That's one sort of way to focus on footsies. But maybe for Rising Thunder, it'll be different, where it's only 1 or 2 buttons to watch out for, but are they on cooldown? Whatever. Maybe there's something else going on like that.
It's going to be a very different strategy for that game, and I kind of like that, actually.
Yeah, I like that, sure.
And you know what? I mean, it sounds like they're going very much very similar to what Street Fighter's trying to do, this kind of more free-to-play-ish model. Now, obviously, Street Fighter V is going to be $60 to play forever, supposedly. And it looks like Rising Thunder is going to be free-to-play no matter what. You'll never have to pay for the game. but you can buy a bunch of cosmetic stuff. So they're going full into that microtransaction model. I'll be very curious to see how well it works for that kind of game, because obviously it worked for League of Legends.
Yeah.
But it'll be really interesting to see how well it works for a fighting game. So. Yeah.
So there's a grappler, there's a Shoto. The Shoto even has, it's not just Fireball Dragon Punch. Mm-hmm. She has Hop Kick. She has Ryu Toward Fierce.
Okay,
like it's very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a clear setup character. Then there's a character where maybe he's a setup zoner or something. Dude, I don't even know.
Can I say one thing though?
A lot of different character types. There's Dudley.
I love the fact that they all speak foreign languages for real.
Yeah,
like,
they actually got voice actors to do.
Yeah, this is just a small thing, but it's so cool.
That's true.
Because I'm so sick and tired of Shinko only being able to say ni hao and zaijin and shit. That's it. Like it's always hello, goodbye, and thank you.
Yeah.
Like literally the Chinese robot, like Edge, I think his name is, or something
that sounds
like
right.
that. Yeah, like. He said something, it was like one last round or something like that, but he said it in Chinese, and I was like, I understood that. That was so cool. But it was neat. And then the Russian guys, like, actually speaking real Russian instead of Zangief coming in and blabbering something and that's not even proper Russian.
Right.
Like, even Elena in Third Strike, she comes in, Jumbo, which is hello, and that's like all anybody can make anybody say is hello and goodbye, and that's it. So that actually was really cool. I actually really, really like that. It's just such a small thing, but you know how I am with touches like that. So it was just really cool.
I agree.
And I think that just really makes it. So I know, okay, don't hurt me if they're just robots, but I feel like that actually helps really add to their personality.
Mm-hmm. No, I know that I have a very peculiar interest in robots. It's not everybody. In fact, in chat earlier, I saw somebody saying that they're not gonna play it because it's robots.
Really?
Yeah. So it goes both ways, certainly. And as happy as I am to have a game that's all robots, it'd be nice if other people had some other connection that they could get into it, right? Of course. And, look, the visuals, it's an alpha.
Oh, so someone
it's not
actually
going to end
says
up looking how it is
there
right
are
now.
pilots as well. In fact, that's SRK Evo 1. Is that actually Tom or Tony in the chat?
It's Ponder. That's like Ponder just says they have pilots. So
oh, okay.
apparently
so
they're
both
pilots. Really? Is this like robot jobs?
No, this is like cyberbots. Because you could pick a pilot and a different robot in cyberbots. Yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Huh.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that is Tom. Okay. So Tom is SRK1 and Ponder's in there. They're coming and spying on our discussion about the game right now.
I see. How dare you.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, like I said, I haven't had the chance to try it. I can't wait to try it.
So they're actually like 500 feet tall or something in the game?
Oh, that's right. Huh. That would kind of have to make sense. Unless it's like cyborg mech suit kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it could be like, what was that horrible movie with that guy?
Hugh Jackman, you mean?
Yes.
But it wasn't. But that was motion. Like the guy actually like fought on the side, and the robots would emulate their motions. Yeah. So it wasn't quite like that. So.
Maybe he just took his voice up. He's the same guy. Whatever. Anyway, that's cool. So I do like the managing of time and options and the cooldown and stuff like that, because that's something that's one of the things that I did like when I was playing League of Legends a lot. I thought that was a really interesting sort of thing. If you're a top lane and you're sort of having this little footsies battle, right? I felt like it was really interesting to have to bet or not bet. Yeah, Real Steel was that movie. And you could bet some cool option, and if it worked out, fantastic. But if it didn't, then you're out of luck for some period of time, and it's bad news for you. So
but there's no cooldown on normals though, right? It's
normals
only specials,
are
right? Okay, cool.
Normals are usable always, but
right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, again, I see some people saying that they might not like the cooldowns, but I think that that's actually going to be kind of neat though. Like I actually think it really puts a different spin, especially on the balancing part. Because like I said, now you could make moves overpowered. Like you said, like the invisibility move, right? So.
Oh, I wonder too if it will be easier to approach for the gigantic percentage of gamers right now who are playing League and Dota and that sort of game.
That's true.
If they'll come to it and they'll be like, it'll be more intelligible for them that you can't just. You can just spam that move, which we've heard forever.
Right.
It's just spamming firewalls. Well, No, there's a cooldown on it, right? It's like anything else that they might be used to.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that'll be more approachable.
Yeah, it's kind of like doing a bridging of the gap between fighting and MOBAs to kind of make it a little bit more appealing to the mobile players and such. Yeah, but I mean, free-to-play option and all that stuff like that sounds like a good idea too. I mean, like I said, we've never seen it work with a fighting game before.
Yeah.
So I mean, Killer Instinct's done it before, but
well,
it
sort
was
of.
just on the wrong platform. I mean, let's just face it. Like you can't do any analysis on what happened with Killer Instinct because it was on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
So you can't say their free-to-play model failed because it was on the Xbox One and there was like no other reason to get that console. So, yeah. Okay.
I'm having fun with it so far. I found some cool mix-ups for the grappler, Talos, I think, that are Tager-like, where I'm sort of like dancing around. I'm making the opponent dance around me. You know how Tager is like flinging you all sorts of left and right, and it's super sick. And you can like cross them up by jumping on top of them as you're flipping them around with your magnets. You can do similar stuff with this character, so I'm into that.
Okay.
I'm into that.
Cool. Well, there you go. Okay. Anything else you wanted to say about it?
I've only had an hour with it so far.
I hopefully will be able to get a chance to try it out a little bit, so and see what I think of it. So, yeah. Okay. Do you want to take a break before we get on to some other stuff?
Sure.
Okay, cool. We'll be right back, guys, because we really need to turn on the air conditioner right now. It's really hot in here. Be right back.